Hey everybody, so today we're going to be taking a look at this board. This came out of a 13-inch new Touch Bar MacBook Pro, one of the newer models. This is new enough that it should be in warranty, but the Apple Store told this particular customer that it was not due to severe liquid damage. So we're just going to take a look through this board, and also going to take a look at the machine, and you tell me what your thoughts are on this. Remember when that CBC News piece happened? What happened with CBC is they edited out several minutes of me going through the board in the microscope because they didn't want the piece to be ridiculously long and boring. So I just want to show you an idea of what this looks like. So this is where Paul had soldered a wire to, so that's flux over there. And if you take a look right over, he didn't use the right amount of flux, which is why you don't see much. And he also soldered a little bit over there. We're just going to take a look through this board and see if we see any signs of liquid. As you can see, as we go through the board, it shows just about no sign that liquid has ever been here. And I'm also going to take a look at the machine in just a moment so that you can see what that looks like as well. Okay, so this is the machine, and as you can see, the board shows no signs of liquid. Now we're going to examine the casing of the machine itself. This is the casing. Now let's take a look at the inside of the machine itself. This is the MacBook. And we've seen many liquid damage machines in this channel that I open on a regular basis. And as you can see, there is no sign that liquid has ever gotten inside this machine. Now if we take a look on the inside, just to get an idea of how this has been treated, you can see that the keyboard looks pretty nice. It's got a little bit of a stain over there, but that looks like maybe jelly on someone's finger or something more than evidence of actual liquid damage. This over here is the top side of the machine, and for the most part, this machine's looking pretty nice. So let's take a look at what this board decided to do. So what I come to the conclusion here, when I see a machine that has no evidence of drop damage, it has no evidence of liquid damage, it has no evidence of physical damage, I can then say that most likely would occur to some sort of spontaneous electrical failure. It happens, it's electronics. So we're going to take a look at this board with the thermal camera over here, and let's see if you notice any pattern as to what it is this board is doing. So we're going to plug the board in, and when we hit the magic button up here that shows you where it's coming from this chip with an Apple logo that says T2. And you can see that most of our heat spikes are coming from this chip and nothing else on the board. And it's not one component under it that's doing it, because we have the entirety over here that's getting warm. As you can see, that chip is a good 6 Celsius higher than everything else on the board, and as the board is power cycling, that chip is then kind of pulsing and getting a little warmer, a little cooler, a little warmer, a little cooler, a little warmer, a little cooler. Here we go. So we're up to like 37, 38 Celsius, and the rest of the board here is at, you know, your standard 29, 30, 31. So what's going on here is pretty interesting. Now let's just take a look at the schematic in the board view and get an idea of the functionality of this chip and what it's doing. So in my last video, I had referred to the fact that this is doing a lot of the jobs that something called the Platform Controller Hub used to do on the older MacBooks. And as you can see over here on the screen, it also has some signals that used to be read or created by a chip called the SMC, the System Management Controller. Let's just take a look at something like SMC DCN vSense, something like this. So these are the type of signals that used to go to the System Management Controller. So the T2 chip is not only doing the job that the PCH used to do, it's also doing the job that the SMC used to do. Now in older videos, you may have heard me talk about the fact that the System Management Controller comes with programming, and the programming on that chip is not programming that I have access to. I can't just buy a new chip and program it, which means I have to go through dead boards and pray that they're dead for a reason other than the SMC, take the chip off the board, put 96 new solder balls on it, and solder it onto the board to figure out if that SMC is good, which is a pain in the ass, especially given that you don't really know if the board is doing something to make that SMC not work. But at the very least, it's doable. I have to find a donor board that's identical in model, and once I find a donor board that's identical in model, I can replace the SMC. This is different. The T2 chip is a chip that, since it is paired and combined to other components of the machine, I have no ability to replace that. Even if I find a board with the exact same model number of the board that's in my hand, I cannot take this defective T2 chip off and put a new one on. With old machines, it was a bit of a pain in the ass. I'd have to find an identical board, take the chip off, put the 96 balls on it, and once I'm done putting the 96 balls on it and resoldering it on, done praying to the BGA god, at the very least there was a possibility that I would be able to make that work. On this chip has programming on it that I don't have access to. I do not have access to any of the tools to be able to replace this, repair, or do anything to it. Now, you may wonder, why does this matter? Well, the reason this matters is because this is a machine that's in warranty that Apple is not covering for a customer that does not have water, liquid, drop, or spill damage. And the reason that we exist is for the very reason that there are a lot of customers that Apple don't support. So if they did it to this customer, it kind of makes you wonder, are they going to do that to you as well? And if the design is done in this type of way where we don't have access to anything, even if we manage to get access to this chip, it's not going to work because this chip is specifically programmed for this specific machine with this specific everything connected to it, well, then there's just not much I can do anymore. And hey, you're on your own. Would you like to buy a new one? This is something that's been in the works for a really long time. This has been a long time coming. I've been talking about this stuff on my channel for about 7.5 years at this point, since about 2012, how these devices are designed to be, in a way, throwaway, not fixable, and how a lot of effort is put in to ensure that independents are unable to repair the product, so you only have one person who can tell you whether or not the thing is fixable or not, and that one person is the person that just so happens to have a little bit of an incentive to say, oh, look, I see water, but it's not there. Yeah, it is. And then you're shit out of luck, because this right here is a paperweight, and I can foresee every single one of those machines that I ever went over on my channel, and I said, this needs an SMC replaced and it works. All those repairs, every single one of them, gone. Just buy a new one. That's your only option. And if you kept giving this company money, if you kept giving them money for a new one, after this is how they treated you with the old one, then you've given them absolutely no reason to change any way that they do business. And in a way, you kind of asked for it. When I call this person, I have to tell them that not only is their only option to fix it, the company that's going to charge them virtually the same price as a new one, I also have to tell them that their data is completely inaccessible. Unlike the other machines that have a lifeboat connector here so that if the board dies, you can at least get data off of the soldered on for no reason SSD, this one does not have that. So if I'm not able to fix the board, their data is gone. Anything that's not been backed up since the last backup is totally gone. And this chip over here that I need to be able to replace with programming in order to make the board works is not available. Even if I manage to get this off of a donor board, if I manage to get a hold of this and put it on here, it will not function. And I told you so. I've been telling you so since 2012. For the past 7 years, I've been going over every single practice that this company uses to make it more difficult to repair the machines. I've been going over every single thing they do every single year to make a machine that fails easier than other models. Whether it's the 2010 with GPU kernel panicking failures, 2011 with actual GPU failures, 2012 with the GPU works, but the chip that powers it just comes off of the board, and their idea of fixing it is to put a little piece of rubber there. The 2013 machines that randomly crash, the 2015-16 machines with bad trackpad cables, the 2016 machine where you can't even open it without ripping cables in the display, the 2017 machine with the bad butterfly keyboards, the 2017 A1708s with SSDs that go bad, the 2018 machines that have the exact same butterfly keyboard issues, and above all, now a happy little T2 chip that does not allow this machine to be fixed by anyone, when this used to be a basic 20-minute job without replacing the entire board. And you have nobody to thank for this but yourself. All of you who decided to support this company with your money, because it may be their decision to do it, but their decision to do these types of things to their customers wouldn't work if their customers didn't tolerate it. Your decision to ignore every single person that warned you about these machines is the reason that you now have a machine that you bought just 3 months ago that is now completely and utterly worthless. No warranty and no independent service center that can do anything about it or even get your data. I told you so. I tried. I did my best. I did my part. Did you do yours? You didn't. And that's why now, this is what you have to deal with. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something.